Hi everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. I want to wish you all a very happy new year. Today we're going to prepare something very simple. I kind of thought that maybe through the month of December everyone's been doing a lot of cooking, a lot of baking, and maybe you might need just a little break. So we're going to prepare just a little snack, a little appetizer or hors d'oeuvre that doesn't really require a whole lot of work, but is very tasty, very delicious. It's actually quite Mediterranean and very healthy for you. So let's get started. These are, and by the way, this particular little snack that we're going to make is just wonderful in the summer when your cherry tomatoes are coming out of your garden. We are fortunate enough that we are getting some nice tomatoes out of your supermarket also. And so these are pretty large sized cherry tomatoes that we're going to use. And we're going to stuff them with kind of a Greek inspired salad. We're going to use feta cheese, and I roasted some beautiful peppers, red peppers, orange peppers, yellow peppers. We're going to add some Kalamata olives. You can use whatever olive you happen to like. And all I did was just quarter these lengthwise. And I thought we would add some pine nuts. Pine nuts just will add a nice crunch, and I think it'll be delicious here. But if you don't have them, you certainly don't need to put it or add it to the recipe. You can just leave it out. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is marinate the feta cheese. So it is really important that everything is flavored nicely before it actually goes into the tomato, so that it's really going to have nice seasoning and it's going to taste delicious. By the way, here's a nice block of feta cheese, and it's always nice in December during the holidays when you get beautiful gifts that you wouldn't buy yourself. And this is a really fun little cheese slicer that I got for Christmas that I just love. So I actually used it to slice the feta cheese, which was a lot of fun. Okay, so I just have a dozen cherry tomatoes here. So we'll just kind of work with, say, a dozen. And here I have some cubed, and they're about a ½ inch cube of feta cheese. And it's basically one piece of cheese that's going to go into each cherry tomato. I probably have more here than I need. I do have some nice oregano from the garden, so actually I'm going to put a little bit of oregano in the dish, which is right here. I just chopped it very finely, and just about a ½ teaspoon is all you need. And of course you know that oregano is very popular with a lot of the Greek cuisine, a lot of Mediterranean dishes. So we're going to add the oregano. And I love shallots, so we're going to put in a little bit of shallots. So just one shallot, very finely diced, because this is not going to get cooked. So in with the cheese, I have my shallots here. And now I'd like to season it with a little bit of black pepper. So let's just get a little black pepper in here. And a pinch of kosher salt. I would say about a ¼ teaspoon. Feta cheese is salty in itself, so be careful. You can always add more if you need to. About a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. That should do it. And we'll just mix this together. And you just want to let this kind of marinate for a little while. I also want to put some roasted peppers because I love sweet peppers. So all I did was roast these peppers, and I added a little bit of olive oil. I sliced them in long strips, as you see here. And I drizzled after I peeled them and sliced them, I added some extra virgin olive oil. I smashed a couple of garlic cloves and put it in here, and a couple of sprigs of thyme. And I just let that sit overnight. You can also buy roasted peppers already done. So to make your job a lot easier, go ahead and do that if you prefer. So here are our peppers, which I just diced up. I have them right here. I took about 4 strips and just diced it up. And then, of course, we have our Kalamata olives. which I already mentioned to you that all I did was just quarter them lengthwise. And that is all of the ingredients besides our cherry tomatoes. This is a really nice healthy snack. It also would work really well as an hors d'oeuvre, vegetarian and also gluten-free, which is perfect. So here are our little cherry tomatoes. What's really important is to, you want this to be able to lie flat. If you set this down and it just kind of rolls around on you, the same thing is going to happen once you stuff it. So I tend to just take a little knife and just slice a very tiny bit, very tiny bit off of the bottom so that my tomato can lie flat. And then I have a tiny little serrated knife here, and I'm going to just cut off the top. And what you want to do, a lot of times when people talk about stuffing tomatoes, they'll tell you to use a melon baller or just a small spoon, which you can do. In order to really keep its shape and not bruise the tomato, I like to just use a nice sharp little knife and go in and cut around so that I can really get the all of the seeds and the pulp out without bruising the tomato. So you can do it however you prefer, and you just want to make sure to get out all of the seeds. Okay, so there you have a nice tomato hollowed out so that we can stuff it. And then your next step is to season the tomato. You want to make sure it's seasoned nicely. So just take a pinch of kosher salt and go into each and every cavity of the tomatoes. And by the way, I do like to turn them upside down on paper towel to let them dry a little bit so that they're nice and dry and there isn't going to be a lot of moisture. And then put them right side up. So that's what I have done here. Okay, so just enough to season the tomatoes, and you can do the same with the pepper. You want to just get some nice flavor before we even go ahead and add anything to the tomato. So after the cheese has marinated, and you do want to let it marinate for at least an hour or so, but if you have time to let it go a little bit longer, go ahead and let it go a little bit longer. And you do want to get the shallots in with the tomato as well. I first want to put some roasted peppers at the bottom. You can do it however you like, but I'm going to put 2 or 3 strips of roasted pepper right in the bottom of the tomato, okay? And then you can then take your nice piece of cheese and put it right on top. And then grab a piece of olive. And if you want to put a couple in there, I think that would be very nice. I also have some chives here. I love chives, and I think it always looks really, really nice. The other thing to know is that you could do this ahead of time. The only thing, and you would want to refrigerate them if you do them ahead of time. You can do them a few hours ahead. The only thing I would suggest is don't put the pine nuts. If you're going to use the pine nuts, just add it just before you're ready to serve it. So let's put a couple of little pine nuts in here, right on top. That looks good. And then a little bit of chive. There we go. And then just, you want to add just a hint of salt on the top, and not a lot. As I said, feta cheese has a good amount of salt. I have here some Maldon sea salt, so you can just take a little Maldon and actually rub the Maldon sea salt in between your fingers so that it gets smaller, because it's actually big flakes. And then just sprinkle a touch of Maldon sea salt over the top. And now you have a very nice, full flavored little bite to eat. And let me come around and show it to you. I'll put it right in the middle. Here's just one. But there you have. So on the bottom, we have the roasted peppers right down here. Then you can actually see the cheese better this way. So here's our cheese with the shallot. I put some chives, a few pine nuts on the top, and a couple of pieces of Kalamata olive. And then you can just line your tray with all of these, saran wrap it, and then, as I said, when it comes out of the refrigerator, just put your pine nuts on the top. So that's it. This is a delicious mouthful, something worthy of eating with a delicious glass of wine, I am sure. So Happy New Year once again to you all, and we will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye now. This looks good. I think I'm going to eat this one.